You are looking at a Chinese expert. 2,000 pounds, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10,000. I said that was good. Ladies, now then, we're going to talk about Chinese artifacts. Who owns this little Chinese box?
I do.
Who do? You do, madam?
Yep.
So come on onto the stage. It's all about you. Yeah. Let's see if we can make her rich. Shall we try? Okay. So tell us about it.
Well, I lived in Hong Kong for many, many years, and we bought lots of bits, and that's one of them.
Okay. Is that it? Right. Okay. What is it?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Hey, Charlie, this is great because whatever I say, she's going to believe me. I can just make anything up. Okay, it could be a snuff box.
Yeah,
it could be because the Chinese were big into snuff, a little box like that. If it had a mirror on the inside, it might be described as a patch box, you know, for wearing the little patches. Because I think it was made for the Western market. Would you agree? Hong Kong circuit. When did you buy it?
70s, 80s.
In the 70s or 80s. And do you think it was old then? Was it sold to you as being old?
I can't remember.
Okay. You've been very helpful, I must say. I know. So it's got hallmarks on the base. Have you researched the hallmarks?
No, that's what we want to know, whether you can date it from
Aha.
those marks.
Okay, well,
Because we haven't been able to.
have you tried to
I
date
think
it?
my husband's tried, yeah.
Okay, it's very tricky dating Chinese objects, whether it's pottery, porcelain or silver, because the first thing you do when you see a Chinese object, you turn it over, you read the base, and what do you do when you read the base of a Chinese object and you have your reference book and it tells you it was made during the Ming Dynasty, 1344 to 1644, thereabouts. What do you do? What does your mind tell you? You said reproduction, madam. The first thing you do is disbelieve it. And that's not offensive against the Chinese, just the Chinese for centuries have been making reproductions. And they would mark the bases of anything as a sign of reverence to long gone dead ancestors, potters from the past, silversmiths from the past. So very often it's far easier dating a Chinese object without any markings, because the markings can throw you. So you can buy a pot made in the 19th century with a Ming or a Kanchi mark centuries earlier, but you're handling it now, it's an obvious antique. It's 200 years old, but is it 500 years old? It's very tricky. So I think with this one, it's Chinese silver, so it's not as high a grade as British silver. So you know when you get a British piece of silver like this, Queen Elizabeth II there. Actually, diverting a little, I know, from Chinese pieces, but just take a look for a moment and admire this silver equestrian statuette showing our Queen Elizabeth II attending the annual Trooping of the Colour on her famous horse, Burmese. I mean, seriously, isn't it just drop dead gorgeous? Signed Amy Goodman and Vivien Mallock, the artists and sculptors, and crucially, with its British assay marks, silver marks for 2022, including the Jubilee mark. This is number 1 of a limited edition, and an incredible rarity, of course, ladies, coming from Charlie's stock. Now, I know Charlie, as you probably know as well, is always so modest about these things, but he really does carry the finest pieces in the world. And if you're interested, this silver sculpture is on the market for £125,000. And because it carries its sterling mark, you know that it's 925 parts pure out of 1,000 parts of silver. Chinese silver is 800, 900 parts, so it's of a lower grade. But it is terribly desirable, particularly in the Chinese market. You've heard of the Chinese market exploding, haven't you? It's wild. Charlie and I deal with Chinese buyers. We work with a regular big Chinese buyer, and they spend hundreds of thousands and millions of pounds. Charlie sells a lot to them. It goes to China, doesn't it, Charlie?
Every now and then.
Every now and again, it sells to China. There's lots of money there. But the trick is finding the objects that the Chinese want to buy back. They really want to buy back objects that were made for the Chinese market, not so much for the Western market. So when you find something that was made for the West, the Chinese buyers generally don't want it. They want stuff made for the home market. But fortunately, ladies, for you, you are looking at a Chinese expert. Listen, I didn't come here to be modest. Let me tell you how good I am at valuing Chinese things, and then we'll get on to this. A client of mine several years ago came to me and said, David, can you help me sell this Chinese screen? Very heavily carved. I said, I can. I said, I don't really rate it. I think it was made for the Western market. It's very ornate. The Chinese pieces made for the home market are very refined, beautiful, understated, and terribly sophisticated. Those pieces made for the Brits in Hong Kong, the late 19th century as an example, very gauche, very nouveau riche. And this thing was that. And I said, look, it's very interior design. It'll be good for an interior design, a big screen, £300 to £500 is my valuation. I don't like it. He said, I don't like it. My wife has never liked it. It's lived in the garage for 20 years. We paid £100 for it, so we don't care. Just get rid of it. Nobody liked the screen. I know the Chinese market. I know the Chinese wouldn't want it. I put it into auction. In my office at the time, I had a screen. And at the same sale, I was selling a pair of Chinese vases, 18th century vases, 3,000 to 5,000. So I was watching the sale. I wasn't interested in the screen. The vases come up, and I put my Chinese buyers onto them, and they made £7,000. That's good, but I valued them. So it's good, wasn't it? I'm on 20%. Who's good at maths? You good at maths, madam? How much have I made on 7,000?
1,400.
1,400. So it's good, isn't it? Yes, I'm worth it. Right? Then, which I'll prove in a moment. Right? Then this screen comes up, 300 to 500 quid. I think, oh God, please sell. We don't want that monstrosity back. The bidding starts at 100 to gets to 300. It's reserving. Thank God it's not coming back. I ignored it. Kept on going. Got to £1,000. My goodness me. I started showing a bit of interest in this screen. 1,200, 14, 16, 18, 2,000. £2,000. 3, 4, 5, 6, 10,000. 15, 20. I collapsed on the floor. I'm comatose. I wake up at £30,000. I said it was good. I said 300 to 500. It sells for £34,000 to my Chinese buyer that I put onto the vases. That's how good I am at valuing Chinese things, ladies. So if I said to you, that's worth 30 quid, it's probably worth 3,000. Let's have a bit of a competition. I reckon it probably wasn't that old when you bought it. You look a bit horrified.
No, I have no idea.
It is solid silver. How much is it worth, ladies?
Not very much.
How much do you think?
Well, £30 is probably a good, if that.
Well, do you want £30 for it?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
Because I've got 30 quid, look. I mean, I'm not showing off or anything.
No.
No.
Not for sale.
How much do you think, ladies?
No idea.
A bit more?
150.
150. Charlie, would you agree?
I think 200 to 300 maybe.
200 to 300, yeah. That's not bad, is it?
Not bad.
Okay, there you go. Give her a round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.